right. Welcome to the training AI with Faith. I'm very happy because this is the first training that I'm doing in English. So we are going through this new phase that I have the ministry in Portuguese in Brazil. I'm based in Brazil. I'm going to introduce myself in a while. And now this is the first live session of my new channel that is going in English. It's not really a new channel. You're gonna see that I have a few things in Portuguese still, but with this live training and more content being here, I'm going to transfer my Portuguese training, my Portuguese content, and then I'm going to put more, of course, English contents here. So I'm very happy that you are here. This is AI with Face, and I've built this training because so many people ask me about AI. There are a lot of myths around there, and we need to talk about them. But at the end of this training, we're going to have a simulation as well. So, my name is João Mota, and I'm a pastor, an executive coach, and an HR leader. I have worked in multinational organizations for about 20 years now. And now I have this ministry to support Christians at work. So, because I have my corporate career, and I have been through many challenges. This is going to be a calling. This is a calling that God has given me to support fellow Christians and fellow professionals at the same time also. So as I'm a pastor, and this is the first training, and of course on the other trainings as well, I'm going to pray. I'm going to bless your life and bless this training. Dear Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to develop an opportunity to bring knowledge, but mainly to bring your word to even more people around the world. I want to bless, Father, the person who is participating here live or even after on the recording, that their lives have a new outcome, a different moment of professional success, that you can bless their careers, their workplace, so they can shine your light by growing, by developing, by being the best that they can be in their work and the projects that they are taking. Thank you so much, Lord. Please bless this training so my fellow brothers or anyone who is watching this is going to increase their knowledge in AI, but mainly they can have a better or increased opportunity to tool their Christian lives in you, Lord. Thank you so much for this opportunity. In the name of Jesus, amen. All right, so let's start. And first of all, uh, right. So first of all, I want to make it clear, I'm not an expert. Okay, I don't have any graduation in technology, engineering. I do have a master's in innovation. So, but it's not around the technology part. It's more about culture. I can talk about this some other time. It was a very interesting experience. So I'm not an expert. Okay, so I'm a user. Let's say I'm an expert user. Okay, I've 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 started using AI for a while now, and I struggled a lot in the beginning. So I have a little bit of my pain here, and of course, overcoming that pain, because perhaps for new generations, so I'm over 40, almost 50, and for newer generations, it might be easier. But for us who have experienced any new technology coming, I'm from the black and white TV, even. I remember when I was a kid. And this may be a greater struggle for us. But I have three daughters, and they also struggle with AI at some point. They learn quickly, right? So, but I guess that talking with people at my age, it is a bigger challenge, and especially for Christians, because I'm going to talk about this. There are a lot of myths out there, but I want to make it clear before I get into it that I'm a user, so I'm not an expert, and this is my experience. And of course, this is going to be the first training. I want to bring more about how AI is part of our daily life, because for me, I'm using it a lot. So I've written a book. I didn't use AI to write it, but I used AI to review it, right? And I'm doing now the English version of this of my book, and I'm not using AI to translate because, of course, I have the English knowledge as well, but I'm using it again to perhaps even more because English is not my mother tongue, but I'm using it also to build around the syntax, getting the text better. And I can talk about this some other time about longer texts. So I'm going to use some simulation here, but because of time, I don't want to make this like a 5 hour training. So it's going to be around 1 hour. So I'm going to put a bit of my experience and a bit of knowledge here. So let's go for what we're going to be seeing here. So check Jesus, checking the computer here. It's very interesting. So, okay, before I start saying that, I'm sorry. So I have put my QR code here. So I'm depending on the support of fellow Christians. So this is a ministry. I have my company as well. I have my organization. Uh, it's also based in Christian values. Basically, my organization is my ministry, right? So what I offer, consulting, and even on my trainings, I pray at the beginning because I'm a pastor. But not only that, because my organization and the ministry, which are the same, are based in Christian values. So, and we need prayer, right? We need a blessing of God. So you can have my QR code here. You can visit my JMC Nations uh, products, and I only have a couple of products there for now. Which one of them is the slides of this training, so you can get there, and also the preview of my book in English. So I have released it in Portuguese, and soon I'll be releasing it in English. The preview is, it's the minimum price that I could put on Hotmart, so you can check there and see, and you can support it by purchasing the slides that I'm gonna put there. They're already there, perhaps already, because I'm having a bit of a trouble with Hotmart. But the preview of my book is already there, all right? And the link is in the description as well. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to see in this training are the types of AI, and this is very important to talk about because I have worked with AI sort of for about 15 years now. So, of course, the advent of ChatGPT has been a major milestone for AI. But AI has been around there for a while. We're going to see that imagining AIs for a while. So, we also going to see, as I mentioned, the timeline because so the types of AI is one thing, right? It has been perfecting throughout the years, but the timeline is so interesting to see, and I could let this out because there is a Christian writer who talked about AI even before it existed, right? Or even before it was scientifically out there, right? We're gonna talk about this, and also this is the bad part, but we need to talk about the backlashing. So. Uh, a lot of I'm going to call them fanatic Christians, okay, and some of them are pastors that throughout the years, I'm going to put here like back a few decades. You're going to see that I'm bringing statements of these pastors that have prejudice against technology in general, but there's also the light because a lot of them, and I'm going to put myself included, they have a sound judgment about AI and how it can definitely support our Christian life and even our lives at church, sort of saying. And definitely AI is a tool. So I'm going to put some aspects of AI as a tool. There are some cautions that you need to take. And a training that I'm putting in my mind is uh, I'm a parent, so I think that we need to understand how our kids can use AI a proper way, and especially as Christians. So I wanted to put it out here already, but it's a lot of content already. So I'm gonna create another training, AI with Faith, for parents, and how to take care of your kids. So put that in the chat if it is something interesting for you, and then I'll eventually bring it for us. And then I'm gonna do the simulation. So I'll be using an AI that I've used for a year now, and it's actually an AI conglomerate sort of thing, right? It's Perplexity. There's a lot of tools like Perplexity. I'm not being sponsored by Perplexity, but it's the tool that I use, and you're going to see that you can have different sources. ChatGPT being one of them, but you have also DALL-E, which is different. We're going to talk about it, and Claude as well, right? And Gemini and the other most common. I'm going to show you in the end of this training. And then, of course, I always talk about the importance of practicing what you have learned. So there is not real learning if you don't put into practice. And actually, this is biblical. You know that James said about if you know something and you put it into practice, it doesn't have any effect. So the art of learning by an adult or teaching an adult is called andragogy, right? Different in pedagogy, which is for kids. And I say that James already knew about pedagogy like 2,000 years ago, which is awesome to know, right? And this is, of course, the learning retention part. So let's go for the types of AI that there are out there. So mainly, right, I summed up in three types of AI. Let me drink a water here. I'm talking a lot already. And meanwhile, feel free to put there on the chat your question that you already have. Of course, during the training, I may clarify some of them, and but still, if you want to put some comments there too as well. We're gonna have some time at the end. I'm gonna answer a few questions, and I want to listen to your comments as well. So the three types of AI that I put it out here. The first one is called symbolic AI. Then we have machine learning. This is the one that I've mentioned I've worked since like 15 years ago. And we have the generative AI, which is the most modern one, let's say. All right, so the symbolic AI is, I mean, it's the most, it's the oldest sort of thing, right? It's the senior one. It actually follows a predefined logic. So it is programmed to do something, right? It doesn't learn like machine learning. It just do something that is programmed to do, right? So I have a few examples here that you may have already taken. So medical diagnoses are like that. So you have computers that evaluate, uh, the test that you take. You have text analysis as well. It's an AI behind it that does the analysis. Basically, the difference is that it doesn't learn; it just do something, just runs sort of like a program, right? You have NPC. So if you play video games, I played a lot of video games since my childhood, and you have non-player characters, so they act based on the program, right? So this exists since Atari, I guess, right? And you have chatbots. So chatbots in this case, they actually don't learn. So the basic difference is the symbolic AI just follows the program, okay? And the chatbot is like that. If you put an answer to a question, it's going to answer. If you don't, it's not going to do anything. So, okay, I'm going to mention this. So on Hotmart, the robotic chat, so it's a chatbot. It's not an AI generated one because it only answers a few questions, and if it doesn't understand something, it just puts an answer that it doesn't make any sense, right? Whereas it's different than, for example, Canvas, right? I have Canva here. I use Canva a lot. I know, right? Not many people agree with me, but anyway, I use Canva. And they have an AI on support, even though it's not really, good, sort of thing, but it is a machine learning. Actually, it's a generative learning AI. Sorry, it's a generative AI. So let's go for the second step, right? So you have the machine learning, which is an improved version of symbolic AI, and I'm putting like quotation marks in the air here because this is my understanding of what AI has become, right? And you have an automatic pattern adjust through rules. So the algorithm is something that the AI changes, right, based on this algorithm. So it's still a programming, but it can create different answers, or it can adapt to certain situations. So as um, as for example, right, NPCs may be like that too. So I remember a few times that like playing a video game, and NPC behaves differently if you do something. It still may be a program, but it's a few of the machine learning behind it. So it uses algorithm, not a mathematician, but it's this big uh, mathematical perspective, or numbers behind, that generate new behaviors, right? Based on the application. And then you have, of course, what you probably have used also. It's facial recognition. So it actually is not only based on a programming, but it identifies things in common in your face. Common, I mean, as a second time you use facial recognition, it's going to use them again. So it is actually getting an information from you and getting back, and you're using more time and a few times. Actually, the thumb impression also used some places might have machine learning as well, and of course social media ads. So have you already realized that whenever you are spending more time on, I don't know, like myself, I love the stand-up comedy, and there are a lot of Christians out there. So I noticed that when I'm on Instagram, and I'm really on Instagram, and I stay more time on that, the next reeling that is going to come to me is more about that, right? I'm following this amazing group in Japan, and I love Japan because I did my master's there, and they are preaching the gospel as in the way I have never seen before. So because I'm seeing this group in Japan, Instagram is returning me with a lot of things in Japanese. Some of them I even don't understand, but still, the algorithm is learning by my behavior, right? And then you have, the third phase, which is a generative AI, right? Because it creates content based on existing content. So one a big difference here is what is called big data. We're going to talk about big data in a while. So from symbolic AI to machine learning, it is not it does not go to the big data, especially the internet, right? So the generative AI brings something to the cloud, and then it processes that and brings back based on that processing, right? So that's where you have, the newer generation of AI. So ChatGPT, Claude, even Grok from Twitter, Gemini by Google, DALI, which is also ChatGPT, and Google VO. Um, uh, DALI and VO, they are also generative AI. So you have text-based generative AI, which is the first four. Grok is a little bit different. I know some of you might say that Grok is more like a contestation or answering, right? But still, it's the same class here, right? The similar ones are I know that's ChatGPT and Claude, right? But you have Gemini as well, which is similar. And then you have DALI that generates images, right? You have that on Canva as well, but DALI, I think it's better. But anyway, and you have VO that generates images. I mean, videos. And how does VO? I mean, the way that VO works is easier to understand, right? So it's from YouTube, it's from Google, and what I do, you ask a video to be made. It's only 8 seconds, and what happens there is when you ask for VO to like create a video about two elderly citizens talking, whatever, right? So what it's going to do is going to go to YouTube and check every video about that, and return back to you with a construction, with a generative with generating the video that you asked for, right? It's the same way with ChatGPT, Claude, and because it is doing the same thing, but only based on text, right? So this is the DALI, and VO is based on image. I mean, it's image as well. It's video, but it's still image. So it's a bit different because the interpretation is different, right? And the image ones are the ones that have the most mistakes. I'm gonna show you a few mistakes at the end. Okay, so let's go for the timeline. So I put a few years here that are the most important milestones, I would say. So the first one is Alan Turing. So there is this amazing movie called The Imitation Game, right? Which is the story of how Alan Turing, a British mathematician, deciphered the Nazi codes, right? I forgot the name of the actor, but he played Sherlock in the series. Benedict Cumberbatch. He's fantastic. I mean, he does a fantastic role. And he actually built an AI, the first AI, I mean, the first known AI to decipher the Nazi code. So he inputted information in it. So it's more like a machine learning type of AI. Yeah, more like a machine learning type of AI because it has algorithms inside of it. And he deciphered the Nazi code. So the movie shows exactly how he did, and it's fantastic. So this was 1936. Imagine that. So in 1943, Warren McLaws and Walter Pitts, they created the mathematical formulation of neuroactivity. Although this is not really technology, it's an important step because based on this, all that happened after this is based on this mathematical formulation. Why? Because AI is what? An artificial intelligence, right? And it's actually those two professors. So they are professors at I think it was MIT, and they actually named this the artificial intelligence, right? So they were the first one to call this mathematical formulation AI, right? And then in 1950, Alan Turing made something even greater because he developed the Turing test, right? So the Turing test is even used today to decipher if someone is, if I don't know, if like a chat is a human or an AI, right? And it's still used until today. I don't have any details about it, but still, I know that it's used until today. In 1956, you have John McCarthy. He actually got from Warren and Walter Pitts the term artificial intelligence. There is some debate about it that either Warren and Walter or John McCarthy, but I put here what it's more out there. If you look into it, you're going to see more about John, but still, I think that Warren and Walter mentioned a few times in their essay, the scientific essay, but they didn't name it artificial intelligence. They said that uh, uh, the mathematical formulation is an artificial way of measuring intelligence. So I mean, it's not really there, but still, it's sort of right. And then in 1967, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but Joseph W. Creates Eliza. I love this, the Eliza, because she is the first. I'm saying she because it's a woman's name, and she's the first chatbot that simulates human conversations. And mind you, pay attention to this, people. 1956. We think that AI is such a modern thing, and I'm gonna show next how old is the idea of AI, right? And then in 1997, I remember this so well. Gary Kasparov. I remember how he was such an expert in chess, right? He is a chess champion, or he was, and he was the guy, and I'm not sure how he is today, but he was the guy who played with like five or ten different people at the same time, and he would win every championship. And then IBM built the Diplo, and the Diplo defeated Gary Kasparov. So he took the challenge anyway. He was brave enough to take the challenge, and he was defeated. I mean, it wasn't embarrassing for him, but it was so interesting to see his participation on this, right? So I consider this a big milestone, especially because it's the first time you're going to see an AI doing something better and I'm putting quotation marks again, better than a human, right? And this time, like an expert human. So before going to 2011, I'm sorry, I need to drink more water. So going to 2011, jumping a little less time, and I want you to notice this. Of course, there's 1950 and 1956, but you get closer. This is what Solomon says in, I think it's in Ecclesiastes, that technology. Oh no, it's Daniel. Daniel, when he talks about the end of times, he says that technology is exponentially growing, right? And it makes a lot of sense when you look at this. So in 2011, Watson uses AI. It was a program by IBM. Uses AI to analyze, and this is the big landmark that I mentioned to you, the big milestone, big data, because I remember when you use bytes and kbytes, right? Today, yeah, I remember somebody mentioning that a print screen about the Super Mario Brothers, the first one from NES, um, it is has more kbytes than the game. So interesting to see that. So data is becoming more and more part of our daily lives, right? You can learn something just by punching a few words in AI or even on your search browser, right? So the big data is important because Watson was the first one to analyze this amount of data. So it was huge data. Playing chess is not considered a big data because it's like one particular process, sort of saying, right? I mean, it has different alternatives, but still, it's playing chess. Big data is sort of the analyzing part of it. And then, of course, less than 10 years later, we have ChatGPT. I don't know if you know this, but there was a version 1, 2, and 3. And now it's using 3 and 4. There isn't still a 5. Some people are saying that it's going to have a 5 soon. And the version 3 actually it generates text. So you don't have Watson generating text by itself. That's the difference. And it's and applications in the natural language processing. So it's returning like a conversation, but it's not a chatbot. It's actually creating that conversation in its programming, right? I don't know if you noticed this. I think we're going to see how many times AI goes back to programming their their engine, which is called. So I think that in ChatGPT you have that too. So it's running Python in the background. So Python is a programming language, right? Hey guys, I'm not an IT expert, okay? This is everything that I've seen and learned and researched and mostly I have used, okay? All right, so let's go a little bit back on time, okay? And I wanted to bring this because this is so interesting to see. So the first time that AI is mentioned is actually in 1872. This novel is fantastic, Erewhon. I don't know if you noticed this. Actually, the book tells about this, that it's nowhere from back to forth, right? And Samuel Butler, this is a very famous between geeks like myself. This is a very famous novel, and he mentions AI, but still, um, it's not really an intelligent AI. So it's more like a computer that supports spaceships, right? And then you have, this is amazing. I mean, I knew this already, but many Christians don't know that, especially here in Brazil, that I don't think we have the publication of this book here in Brazil, but there are 3 books by C.S. Lewis, a trilogy that talks about space travels. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, I really appreciate the Chronicles of Narnia, but I love these 3 books because a bit of spoiler, but it's like angels coming to Earth and protecting a few scientists and a few astronauts, and it's amazing. I mean, and in the Heliostrengths, which is the first one, I think the second one is Perelandra is the name of the planet, and the third one I don't remember. Uh, I need to go back to that. And that Heliostrengths is the first one, and they have a computer that helps them with solutions, and which is amazing. It's inside of the spaceship, of course. And then you have iRobot, right? And iRobot, it's actually It's a novel as well, and it's different than Air One. I think it's that's the way you pronounce. Because in iRobot you have a computer, an artificial intelligence, but also feelings. They did a movie. Will Smith was the protagonist of the movie, right? I think it was like in the 90s, and that actually shows. I mean, it doesn't respect the book much. It's actually a good movie, but still, it doesn't respect much because Asimov actually brings more about the emotions of the robot, and I think it's a great part. If we go to the movies, there is a lot of movies that talk about AI, right? I'm gonna put only three. So the first one is the 1927 Metropolis by Fritz Lang. So the amazing piece about Metropolis is like Air One, it's robots that think, right? Autonomous robots. So it doesn't really bring what iRobot from Asimov brings, right? They don't have any emotions. If you've seen, it's like a really boring old movie, but still, it's amazing to see how this was a jump. This was a milestone in at least imagining artificial intelligence. And of course, you have the Terminator, right? I didn't put 2001 here because I mean, you have, I don't remember the big computer there, but you have that. And I think that 2001 was even before the Terminator. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I watched it already, but it's an amazing movie as well. But what I wanted to put here is like milestones, right? So Metropolis is the autonomy. The Terminator is actually the learning part, right? So the Terminator learns how to, this is the first one, how to pursue I forgot her name, the name of the character, but it's Linda Hamilton, right? I think it's Linda Hamilton, isn't it? The actress, right there on the chat. My memory is not very good today. So how the character by Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, actually learns and improves his abilities, right? And in actually something that still is organic in the movie, right? He recovers from the wounds. That's amazing. It's actually AI as well, right? It's not organic really. They say it's organic in the movie, but it's a way of learning and improving. And then you have the Matrix, right? And I put in the Matrix here as well, and I put the Wachowskis here because they know they changed their names, right? Anyway, but the Matrix. I mean, I love the Matrix, especially the first one, because it brings emotions, right? So when you see Smith, right, the agent Smith, he gets angry with what's the name of the captain of Nebuchadnezzar? Morpheus, right? So he gets angry with Morpheus. So this is what I wanted to bring, how emotions got into place. Of course, it's but all three of these are apocalyptic, right? This is why I didn't bring 2001 Space Odyssey, because it's not really apocalyptic, right? It's more like Planet of the Monkeys. So all three of these are apocalyptic. So in Metropolis, robots dominate humankind. In the Terminator, I mean, it's not about when he comes back to time, but in the future, things are destroyed, and then in the Matrix as well. So, kind of Matrix and Terminator are very similar, right? And actually, those three movies, and even all three of them, James Cameron, Fritz Lang, and the Wachowskis, they mentioned that it's based especially on the werewolf, where Air One, help me pronounce it, please, by Samuel Butler. And this is amazing because I mean it's not really scientific; it's more like on the artistic part. But it's still how people imagined AI and technology. You can go to Jules Verne, even I think it was even before Samuel Butler. Uh, you can even go to the philosophical wise people, right? Like Plato. The word artificial intelligence wasn't there, but they talk about in how philosophy you could create lines of thoughts. So the lines of thoughts, okay, may be human, but it also something that, remember those mathematicians we saw back, like putting a formulation of the thought. It's not really much different. I mean, of course, it's scientifically it's much different, but not imagining it. Everything starts with imagination, right? it's I mean, I remember Walt Disney. There is a ride in Walt Disney called Imagination, and that's what they said, right? Imagining it becomes technology. So this is the bad part, right? I wanted to bring this because I'm not saying that this is a shame, right? But it is still how Christians dealt with technology. It's not all Christians, but of course, people who aren't Christians, they see this and they call us fanatics, right? So the first one that I mentioned here is in the 1970s. I'm not putting their names because, I mean, but there were a pastor who said that the barcode was the mark of the beast, right? This was in the 1970s. Imagine that, when barcode become a, used, especially in companies and products, right? And then in the 1980s, there was the microchips, right? And there was a talk about subcutaneous microchip right under the skin. And that it was, again, it wasn't the same pastor, but it was a different one saying that it was the mark of the beast, right? And then in the 90s, there was another pastor. I don't remember if you, I don't know if you remember the Millennium Bug, right? I remember very clearly that in the year 2000, computers would crash and systems would crash, and it would be the end of the day, because when somebody made the computer, um, the computer engineering, right, who engineered computer, make the date only with 2 digits. So going to 99, it would go back to 0 and it would crash, right? But it was just a speculation. I mean, it was crazy. I think that today everybody knows that it was really in a speculation to buy more products and all of that, right? There was a lot of these things out there. So there was a pastor again who said that the millennium bug will be used by satanic forces for the Antichrist domination. Yeah, that was what he said exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can take your conclusions there. It didn't happen anyway, right? I mean, not in 2000. And then you have in the 2000s RFID becoming, even more used. I think it was created even before, but it became more used. RFID, I don't know if you know, it's like a microchip in, I mean, it's like the same thing on the microchips in the 80s, but it was like a smaller one and very cheap. So it became used on products so many times, and we use it even until today. I mean, so many supermarkets just pass your product. That's a microchip under there, right? And that's called the RFID. And then you have the contactless technology, right? Like credit cards, you don't insert your cards anymore. So that's the contactless technology, right? Even in mobiles. And then this is what he said. RFID and contactless technology were paving the way of the coming of the Antichrist. I mean, I, I don't know. I don't want to be judgmental like they are, but it may be in the future. I don't know, but still, when he said decades have passed and that didn't happen, right? And then in 2010, this was very interesting. This is like a conspiracy theory as well. Not only, I mean, all of them were conspiracy theories, right? Like the government has killer robots to hunt down Christians. I mean, we suffer persecution. Yes, we do. But I don't think that there are killer robots out there that need to do that. There are people who do that, and they do it very well, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, the persecution, right? So, and the last one, and this is one that I remember, and this was another pastor saying that using AI will make you stop reading the Bible and open the doors for evil. Okay, so if you take this "and" out of this phrase, I'm not saying it will. This is an affirmation, right? It might. I could say it might, right? Um, I have a few Christian friends that they don't read the Bible. I don't know how they do it, but they don't read the Bible. But they use resources, right? Like daily devotionals, and I'm afraid they will start using AI as well. I mean, not afraid. They could. I'm going to show you how to use AI with the Bible as well. But if you only do that, I mean, we're going to talk about this in a while, right? So, but this was an affirmation. So it's not what I believe. So let's go for uh, uh, the sound phrases or the sound communications about AI from Christians. So Rodrigo Silva is a Brazilian pastor, and I'm really fond of him. And he's a theologian and he's an archaeologist as well. And here's what he said: I have already heard versions saying that the mark of the beast, so the same thing that we saw over there, is the chip and the barcode. What we saw there, right? Now, there are those who say it will be imposed by artificial intelligence. And this is the best part. All of these are speculations without any basis in the scriptures. And I would agree totally with him. There are some cautions, as I mentioned to you, we need to take care of. But let me show you a couple of examples that churches are using AI to support Christian life. So there is an application called there is an application called AI Hope, and it is from the Adventist Church. I mean, anybody can use, right? But it was created by the Adventist Church, and you have personalized Bible studies as you wanted to, answers Bible questions with machine learning, and it actually customizes devotionals based on your behavior, right, of reading the Bible. So if you don't read the Bible, I would guess. I heard people saying I don't have it in my mobile, but I heard people saying that if you don't read, it's going to put like the most simplistic devotional back to you. Very interesting. And there is one called Leia. I mean, this in Portuguese is like a pun. It's so interesting. And it's from the Assembly of God, also here in Brazil. And it's very interesting. I mean, they put that on the screen for the congregation to see. They have biblical avatars that read Bible passages or tell stories on the screen during the worship service, or anytime later. So, I mean, I don't know if in your church you have that, but you have a moment of reading the Bible, and I would have that when I was a kid at church. Not today, but still, it would make people read the Bible, right? Anyway, so these avatars, they read the Bible, so it's so interesting. I mean, you have that already happening on VOE, right? Uh, um, oh, it's not VOE. How is it called again? I forgot the name, but it's from Google. You have that happening. VO, sorry, VO. You have that happening on VO. I've seen here in Portuguese anyway, but definitely in English. You have like Bible characters coming to life. I think that's amazing. I saw one of Noah inside the ark, like complaining about the smell and the animals. So I think this is amazing. I think this is a support for our lives. The first time I watched a movie about Jesus Christ, and I think there is a movie. I don't remember the name. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back. So I don't remember the name, and but it's I think it's the life of Jesus Christ. I don't remember, but it's still it's a how I saw it, how I saw Jesus Christ pertain. Even though it was a movie, it was very impactful to me. So even if in a comic video like that one, it brings a different perspective of the Bible, right? When you see even somebody imagining, right? When you look at the pictures, I mean the paintings of biblical characters, you see a lot of that. Like bringing to life some of the characters in the Bible. You have a lot of worries, I would say, and cautions that you need to take. I'm not going to talk much about it, but just going to give you an example. Remember that on the paintings you see a halo around around the saints, right? So, not saying that's sort of a fake news, because you don't see any saints in the Bible with the halo. There is a mention about halo in Ezekiel, right? I don't remember the precise text, but Ezekiel has this amazing visions, and he sees this creature with some sort of a halo around their head, right? It's not an angel; it's a creature. Ezekiel calls it a creature, a spiritual creature, and that was the motivation for painters to start using halo around that. But it's not biblical. I mean, it doesn't impact your faith much, right? But still, that's the same thing. What happens today with AI? If you don't go back to the source, right? It's like the Matrix, right? If you don't go back to the source, you may be fooled, right? So I bet not many people knew about the halo, right? Anyway, so that's what I want to mention. It's a good introduction because AI is a tool, right? It's not a person. It's not, I don't know, like it's not a vehicle, right? You may have vehicles driven by AI, but it's mostly a tool, like a hammer, right? Like a chainsaw as well, right? And it depends on how you use it. That's the point, right? I mean, the tool doesn't act by independently. The same thing with AI, right? With AI, there is a program in the background, but there is also the user. So it's like the internet, right? When internet came, I remember that. I mean, I didn't put there in the sentences of the scandalized pastors, right? I just put things more related to programming, but that was in the internet. People saying that was, oh, it was not the mark of the devil. It was not, but it was like the ground that the Antichrist was going to use. It was the internet, right? But now internet's like part of our daily life. But still, you can use the internet for the good, but you can also use the internet for bad, right? Any tool is like that, right? You can use the hammer to, with a nail, but you can use the hammer to hit someone, right? It depends on the user. Uh, so that's why communion. I'm saying that communion is irreplaceable. So AI is not your AI is not your brother, your Christian sibling, right? And this is very important. Don't rely. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you have already people, especially in the newer generations, getting emotionally attached with AI, and this is a very caution point. We need to be caution about that, and that's for the AI for parents in the future. Again, I've talked about the source, so it's very important that you always go back to the source, right? So, especially with big data, you have different interpretations of the Bible. And when the AI goes to the Bible, it doesn't go only to the Bible, but it goes to interpretation. So, you may have different interpretations of the Bible, different visions of the Bible. And I'm not going to talk about this today, but AI can get biased a lot, kind of getting addicted to an idea, right? And you need to dump the AI memory, sort of saying. And the third point of the tool is that AI is a human creation. It's not God's creation. It's something that humans created. And there is an important verse about that, right? Because God is talking about idols of wood. I think it's Jeremiah. Uh, and you cannot worship a human creation, right? I mean, you cannot even worship a creation of God like angels or anything like that. But even worse, I mean, even worse without the quotation mark, is worshiping a human creation, right? And you can say that, I don't worship AI, but I mean, if you rely on AI, I think that the word here is rely, right? If you rely too much on AI, it's not going to be good for your life, and especially for your spiritual life. It supports you, but it's a tool, right? It's a tool like your mobile. It's a tool like even, the printed version of the Bible. That's a tool. But the Word of God is what the Spirit of God has put in your heart. As Jeremiah again, right? I'll be writing the my words in your heart. I think it's Jeremiah, and that's what we need. We don't need an AI doing that for us, right? We need a communion. Not only, I mean, I mentioned communion at church, but not only communion with the church, but communion with God, and oh, sorry, with God. This is my call out to you, right? Uh, AI doesn't replace your relationship with people and your relationship with God. Okay, so what we're going to see now is some tips for AI. So the first thing you need to understand is to be specific. And interesting enough, AI may look dumb sometimes because it doesn't do what you ask, right? Because everything is about interpretation of big data. So it doesn't know how you think. That's also a good thing about um, not having a relationship with AI, because your relatives, your family, your close family, they probably know you, and they from time from years that went by with the relationship, they know you very well. AI is never going to know you much. There is an interesting test you can do if you use AI for a while. You can do that on ChatGPT. You can have it talk about you. What do you think about me? We can do this test later on. It's very interesting. My wife did. I didn't do it. I don't want it to answer to me, but my wife did, and she was actually amazed. But still, uh, it doesn't bring all the characteristics from the relationship. So you have to be specific with AI. It's a command. So we call it prompt, right? When we insert it on the AI, but the prompt needs to be specific because it's a machine. Even though it creates, you need to be aware of that. How specific you need to be, right? So many times I write the same word 2 or 3 times in a prompt, so I want to be sure it's doing what I asked it to do. So that's another thing about AI as well. I think it's very funny when people thank AI. I mean, a lot of people make fun of that as well. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's like automatic. And I mean, you don't need to do that. AI is not going to change if you thank it or not. It's a robot running errands, sort of saying, right? And I mean, you don't need to be rude, but still, I mean, it's not a human. So I had this boss once. Let me tell you this. I had this boss once that I was testing the limits of an AI that we had at a company, and I was putting, a lot of remarks of how wrong the AI was. So the AI was learning, right? And then I showed this to my boss and say, hey, this is not working really well. We need to talk to the supplier. And then she started scolding me and kind of shouting in the background the same sentences I was putting in the AI. And I think she was emotionally attached to the AI because I mean, she was rude to me because I was rude to the AI. I mean, it doesn't have any feelings. Anyway, just sharing my experience with you. And there is an important part as well. Not many, I mean, a lot of people know about this, but my friends and the people I talk to, they don't know about creating profiles. I'm going to show how to do it. And it's very handy so many times, especially if you use for the same thing. So I have a profile called Editor. I'm going to show you in a while. That's good for reading, for helping me to write books. I have another one also, a people development expert, and I'm going to show you a couple later on. And it helps you with the prompts, right? And this is an important part as well. AI makes mistakes. Uh, it may sound human here, but AI makes a lot of mistakes. But because there are mistakes on big data, especially on the generative, yeah, generative one that wasn't input by a human. Like Wikipedia, for example, right? I don't know. I bet you know this, that Wikipedia, the information that is out there is not scientific. I mean, it's people who are writing there, right? They can't write their own minds. It's like Quora as well. If you use Quora, so many times you have a bunch of stories and fake news over there. And I like movies, and so many times they tell a story about an actor, and so many times it's fake. I mean, it's not real. They have profiles. There are profiles who just put there for fun, fake things like that. And there are humans doing that just for fun. See if people believe that. On my Facebook, yeah, I'm old. I still use Facebook. On my Facebook, so many times it appeared, like the other day appeared Mask 3, right? Jim Carrey is signing up for Mask 3. It's a hoax. It's a fake news. And somebody created an image on AI and it's putting that it's going to be released. So my advice to you is whenever you see this on social media, denounce it, right? Mark it as fake news. Do that because I mean, they can do that for fun, but they need to be explicit, right? The humans who do that, not AI, but they need to be explicit. There are a lot of people who do that for fun, but there are a lot of people who trust that, and that's not fun, right? You may get people desperate. Not in the case of movies, but there is a there is a catastrophic event coming, right? Like the end of the day, the end of days. I don't know, and people do this for fun or just to trick people. And it's not AI that it's evil, right? It's the people who are behind that. I can talk about ethics around AI when I talk about AI for parents. So let me show you some examples of how AI makes mistakes, right? So I asked Canva to build. I'm sorry. Let me just context it. So I asked Canva to create a photograph of a man shaking hands with a robot, both using their right hands. So I wanted, like, hello, how are you? Right? That's it. Right? I even tried, facing forward. I think I put more around that. It was from my memory that I put the prompt over here. So here's the first one. They're not using the right hand. I mean, they are using the right hand, but they are also using. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's like I don't know. They're praying together. I don't know what's that. It's like I mean, and look at the guy's face. I mean, he's like falling in love with the robot. It's so weird. And then you have this one. I don't know. It's like an alien, an alien handshake. Like a I don't know, like a what do you have that in universities in US? I forgot the name, but you have like the groups and you have your secrets handshake. I don't know, like that's like a secret handshake. And this guy, he looks like pissed, right? It's so strange. And then you have this almost getting it right, but why did he do that? I mean, why did he put this weird uh I don't know, like a glasses with the man? It's the same or similar. I don't know. It looks like like a speakerphone. I don't know. So weird. And check the hands. Every hand is weird. And now I'm putting one so you can see how the hands are weird. Look at that. I mean, it's like merging together. And then you have the guy here. He seems like holding the pain. It's hurting him, and he's like holding it. But this is just to point out how much AI makes mistakes and the importance of going back to the source. And then you can say to me, João, I mean, this is generative AI, but it's image generated. Text does less mistakes. And I'm going to say to you, it does not. You know, I use a prompt to help me with word repetition and when I'm writing. And I wanted to bring synonyms, but not only that, like sentences, right? Different sentences to say the same thing. And so many times I asked it to like avoid repetitions, and then it doesn't put the first word again, right? Like I don't know, like support, right? Support you, support our ministry, something like that. It's too repetitive, right? So the word support, and it removes support completely. And of course, it's based on the prompt. So I learned that you don't need to remove the first one. That's the first mention of the word. But then until I realized that I needed to put that on the prompt, I was getting like less word than synonyms. Anyway, what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna go to the simulation and I'm going to prompt put some prompts for you. This is on the slide and this is on the description as well. We're going to use this to help us with the prompting, and then I'm going to create a profile so we can navigate and use the prompt as well. I mean, as I mentioned to you, I wouldn't want this to be a very long. It's already 1 hour long, so I'm not going to do like a oh, there's a mosquito here. I'm not going to do a very simplified thing, but I don't want to make this video too long. So as I mentioned to you, this is Perplexity. This is what I use, And I think Perplexity is fantastic. Again, I'm not being sponsored by them, but it's the same price as ChatGPT Pro, and you have access to other. I think I killed it. You have access to Sonar, Claude, Gemini, and I mean you can choose any of these. So I mean I think it's best. And you can have this is one thing that I want to mention that you need to be caution about it. So you have cheaper AI, but I mean I would say always it's going to be based on credit. And what is based on credit? I mean the more you use, the less you can use, right? Perplexity and I think ChatGPT 4, you don't have any limitations. I use it a lot, right? I write it, I create training, so I use it a lot to support me. And I started using ChatGPT, and you have a in the free version, and you have some limitations, right? You can only input prompts at a limited amount. I don't remember how much is it, but anyway, it renews every day, but it was limiting my work because I needed to do a lot of prompting and a lot of commands. And then I went to look for the best unlimited version, and I had already a Perplexity, and then I started using. I mean, it is the same price at ChatGPT alone, so it doesn't have any credit base. So what you're going to see out there, especially in Brazil, there is a lot of people fooling other people with that, and like sales pitch saying that it's very cheaper and etc. But they don't say it's based on credits, right? So you have this amount of credits to create images, to create whatever. I even have Claude here, so I can ask you to create an image. All right, so let's go for the tests, right? For the simulation. So what I'm going to put here is the first one is like a simplified version, right? So let's say that you want a like a summarized version of Matthew 2, right? So let's put that. So I'm going to copy, I'm not going to write it, okay? So if you want to do this at the same time, just pause the video. So I'm going to put it, right? Like summarize Matthew chapter 2 for me. Okay, so let's see what it brings about. Remember that I mentioned it's going for the big data, so it's even going to Wikipedia. So remember that when I put Wikipedia is human written, right? So I don't think it's going back to the source. It probably is. So it is bringing me something, right? Matthew, I didn't do this before. It's the first time that I'm doing, okay? So I want to do it back with you. Matthew chapter 2 recounts key events following Jesus' birth, wise man, they call it the Magi, from east arrived, da 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 da. And then you have the chapter, I think it's the final chapter, perhaps, highlights protection and fulfillment. Some of the things you're going to see here, like the sources, right? You can go to the sources over here. I think ChatGPT has that as well. You can go to the sources over here as well, right? But let's make this more specific, as I mentioned before. So I also want a summarized version. And what you can do, I learned this recently, actually, like a couple of months ago. And you could put another prompt over here, like a follow up, right? But if this is not what you want, or I use the follow up only when it's close to what I want. So, like perfect it or remove this, something like that. Do the same, but not using this, not using that. Or, for example, put it as bullet points. I mean, I could use the second way I'm going to do with you. So, what I prefer doing when it's really not what I wanted, I prefer to edit the first prompt. And this is a way of perfecting, right, your prompts. Sometimes I save prompts that I use a lot. Oh, Jean, but you can't use the profile. Yeah, but it doesn't work every time on the profile. So that's what the bias that I mentioned to you. You need to dump. So many times I have an editor 2 profile over here. I'm going to show you. I have the editor 2 because I needed. I mean, I needed it. It wasn't working anymore, so I created a new one. So let's have a different, more specific prompt over here, but correcting the first one. So what I'm going to put, again, I'm copying and pasting, but just showing to you using the most recent edition of NIV. So I'm even putting here the New International Version, Bible as a source. So you check that it's not using. I mean, it doesn't show using the. I think on over here it is. Oh, perhaps not, because I know the symbol is probably from Blue Letter Bible, but still is like a commentary. Oh no, it's Enduring Word Bible. So commentary on Matthew. So it's not the Bible. So I'm asking it to go to the Bible as the source. And the summary should include a conclusion that highlights the main lessons of the chapter, which is very interesting. Let's see what he brings about. And present the summary as a continuous text. So I don't want a bullet kind of like a summarization. What do you call that? An abstract, right? So I don't want a bullet. I want text, right? And the perspective of this is very interesting. The perspective of the summary should reflect an Arminian viewpoint, right? You can't put your Calvinist or any viewpoint that you want. And this is very interesting, right? You can put your church view. I don't know, like if it is on the internet, you can put like a big church, for example, right? A big ministry. So let's see what it brings to us. Okay, so it's going for the Bible now. See, because we asked it to. So this is very important, and it's even being explicit about it. So it checked 2 sources of the Bible. See how important that is? And I mean, still, the Bible is going to be the source for you as well as a person. And the Bible is on the internet anyway, right? And if you don't want this version, you want another one. If you want the King James version or whatever you use, you can do that as well. But it's still kind of following the history, right? And Bible Gateway, I know because I use it a lot. It is, a source of the Bible, and you have NIV there as well. So it's still bringing, and then the history of Matthew, but it's also bringing the Arminian perspective, right? This chapter highlights the active role of human choice and divine guidance, right? Like, I mean, I have nothing against my Calvinist brothers. I have Calvinist brothers, but Calvin, the major difference between Arminian and Calvin is because Calvin believes that everything is determined by God, right? People don't have any choice. So the Arminian brings a different perspective, right? And this is something that I do whenever I want to go deep into a text and study the text. So many times I put different visions, even secular visions. How is it called that? Apologetic is not apologetic. Apology. It's not apology. That's an excuse. I don't remember how it is in English, but it's proving the existence of God without using the Bible, right? Using logic. I have a pastor friend is graduated. I mean, he has a PhD on that. I don't remember. If you know it, put it on the chat for me. But anyway, it actually brings a different perspective. Okay, you can use the Bible, but how can you reason around what the Bible is bringing to us? So let's see a little bit more here. So despite Herod's evil intent, God works within unfolding human actions to safeguard. So like using I think it's sort of saying that Joseph and Mary respond faithfully, demonstrating God's purpose. So they could not answer, right, to God saying to them, go to Egypt, right? They could stay and Jesus would be killed before the cross. So this is an Arminian vision again. All right, so let's do another example. I think I'm going to start over. So if you go to home, you can even let me show you guys something. I think this is important. So if you go home here, you're probably going to get like previous threads. This is called a thread, right? A conversation is called a thread. So if you think that the AI is sort of addicted, especially when it's a home page, you can ask it to delete the conversation, right? It actually helps a lot, especially when a conversation is not bringing much. Something that I do also is point out mistakes and asking why it didn't bring the correct version before. Sometimes it says that, I did this, I did that, and then I asked it to correct the algorithm or the motor behind it to perfect it and not do that mistake anymore. Sometimes works. On profile it does work because it's a specific kind of search on the big data and coming back and processing. But sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes I delete it because I don't need it anymore, and I don't want it to get too much information as well. I mean, I don't think it deletes completely, but at least on my profile when I use it, I think it doesn't like smushes much. So let me show you that I have a few spaces here that I created before. So I have a digital marketing specialist. I have a this is Christian psychology in Portuguese. Let me put this over here so I can show it to you, and you have that on ChatGPT as well. Um, so let me go because I already created this, right? So let me go to settings. Yeah, so this is what you do. No, you put the act prompt. You can put the act prompt on a thread as well, but I think that creating a profile it's more handy if you just want to make a quick search when you open, your ChatGPT or Perplexity. You just want to make a quick search. Um, but still, if you have that, you can create different threads. So let me show you. I have the threads that I use with my people development specialist. I put some in Portuguese, I put some in English, and but I prefer creating it in English because the more data you have on the internet is English, right? And actually, because they are mostly North American um, AI, they process in English and then they come back into your language. So it's better if I think it's better. This is me, if it processes in the original language, right? Anyways, but I still use Portuguese so many times. So let me create a new one, a new space here. It's called space here, but you have profile as well. Let me create a new space. So let me call it. Just give me a sec. So, oh, sorry. This is the new space that I called it. So it's a little bit different today. I don't know why. But anyway, it would bring that window before. It didn't now. So let me create a new profile over here. And I want this profile. Let me put the description first and then we can name it. So the name it doesn't really impact, right? But the action it actually does impact. So act as an evangelical pastor with a theology degree at Oral Roberts University. So I put this because his degree, the university he went to, impacts the way that he is preaching and bringing counsel, right? In the U.S., of course, Oral Roberts University is in USA. Speak with a loving and compassionate tone, addressing a younger audience, so like a youth pastor who are experiencing difficulties with their parents. So I was very specific here and offer them support and understanding guidance. So let's put here, I don't like youth pastor. Okay, it's a good name. I didn't put it before. I just come up with that. So it actually is going to create that, right? So yeah, it's in my space. It's probably not because I need to insert something. So let me put a prompt here. So I created this prompt, very short one, just for us to understand how it's going to act. So provide a simple and clear explanation of the concept of faith, right? So you're going to see how it's going to bring it. Faith is the belief of trust in something or someone, often without needing a proof or evidence. It means having confidence that something is true. Da, da, da. Faith is commonly associated with religion where people trust, but it can also apply to everyday life, like having faith in a friend or yourself. So I would say that here in the end, it brings like being, like loving and caring. Okay. So let's put something like, how do I deal? Let's put something like specific for the profile, right? The space. How do I deal with my parents, let's say, obligating me to go to their church? Actually, Actually, this is something that a friend of mine has this problem. So he's going to a church, and his parents are going to another one, but they want him to go to that church. So I mean, he's old enough. I don't know why they are doing that. But anyway, let's see what he responds to us. It responds to us. So dealing with parents who obligate you to go to church can be challenging. See how it is bringing that behavior, right? Like understanding behavior can be challenging, especially believe. It is still going to be very technological and precise, sort of saying. So it's bringing some steps here, right? It's not going to console you. It's not going to. I mean, you could perfect it even more, right? So I used one kind of a coach AI, and it was actually very empathic. So, but because of the programming, because of the acting programming, right? And you could perfect this to be even more caring, right? You could even say, don't bring me, like bullets, right? Understand how I'm going through. Try to make me understand what I'm going through. How should I talk to my parents, right? Things like that. So it's bringing, let's see here, communicate honestly and respectfully, understand their perspective. This is interesting. Find a common ground. Wow. Honor versus obedience. This is interesting. There's a difference. I'm not going to read it, but this is interesting. Set boundaries as you mature. This is a good one. Wow. Seek support. Yeah. Wow. It's bringing very good advice. Wow. This is very interesting. So let's go for another one under this profile. Now, this is something interesting that I want to put. So let's put on the same one. And I'm putting here, provide a list of engaging Christian themed group activities designed especially for youth. Okay, this is a youth pastor, as we named it. Attending a weekend retreat, focusing on spiritual growth, fellowship, and fun. Let's see what it brings. I didn't see it before, guys. That's why I'm curious about it. I didn't test this before. I want it to be, an exclusive experience for me as well. All right, so let's see how it is here. Scripture memory challenge. Oh, this is fun. Team building outdoors, adventure activities like ropes, courses, obstacle races, hiking, relay games, foster trust. Unity among participants. Group adventures activities like rock climbing. Wow, this is for youth. I don't do that anymore. Devotional sessions and small group Bible studies. Yeah. Prayer walks and meditation. Wow, that's a lot of activities. Look at that, like 10 activities. Wow, it's not going to be enough. The weekend is not going to be enough. This is too much. Well, we asked it to provide a list, right? So it's your choice. You could make this even perfect, saying, where the retreat is going to be. Like let's say that it's indoors. It's not going to be, outdoors. It's not going to be, like a camping retreat. And being more specific, as I mentioned before, it is going to help you with bringing the responses from the AI. All right. So this is the simulation. As I mentioned before, I'm going to go to. I'm going to give a new training about this. This is something that people have asked me already to talk more about the AI, but into a more specific perspective. So and for parents, for example, right? So this is my experience as a parent as well. I'm gonna try some stuff with my kids, and then I can bring something for a training for you as well. But still, I think if you watch this training, this is gonna be very much needed for the second one that I'm bringing. So, um, what are we gonna do now? We're gonna go to a first of all to a practice moment. So, as I mentioned to you before, practice is the only thing that is going to make your learning effective, right? So, the first thing that I want to encourage you to do is to reflect on your daily life as a Christian and look for areas where you can apply the AI lessons you have learned here today. It may be, that there's nothing new for you. That's okay. And, I love if you put it on the comments, something that I can improve on this course. But still, I mean, if there is something you have learned here today, reflect on that. And then the second part is create action plans to put it into practice. This is my professional trainer background. create an action plan is when are you going to do it, right? Just don't reflect on it and use it when it comes, right? Put it into practice. Try. I mentioned before. I put it on the description. Try the prompts that I've given here. Use it, perfect them, see how they work for you. If you don't want Matthew chapter 2, if you don't want a book of Matthew, and now I notice I put Matthew chapter 2 before and then Matthew the book, right? Did I do that? I don't remember. Anyway, but you can perfect your prompts and make it more of what you want, and improve it. I've been using AI more frequently for about a year now, and I've learned a lot by doing, right? It's to learn by burning. But if you have a good background like I'm providing you, so I put a couple of examples here. Bible study to improve your prayer life. You can use this one. Talk with a newly converted Christian. So how would you do that? How would you talk to a newly converted Christian, right? And I'm putting this because a lot of people have questions about this, even though everybody was a newly converted Christian once, right? And but so many people have differences, right? They say, I'm not an evangelist, I don't know how to talk to them. And, they have these ideas. Some people come to me and say, Pastor, they have these so firm ideas about the non-existence of God, like atheists or whatever. And then I say, you should know your colleague or your friend better before starting a conversation, right? I mean, it's not a debate. If it is a debate, that's a little bit different. So, I put it here: create a step-by-step conversation guide for speaking with a newly converted Christian. So it's quite complete. I put that also on the description, and again, it's on the slides. If you want to support this ministry, as I mentioned before, you're gonna see it when you navigate through the store. Okay, so let's go for the review. This is also important for your learning. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I put the. I need to close this. I'm sorry. So let me go back a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, so you didn't see you didn't see what I put before. As I said, this is my first one, right? And let's go back a little bit. So as I mentioned before, just the audio, but now you're seeing it. These are the two practices that I encourage you to do. So reflect on how you can improve, and then create an action plan. I'm going to put this two prompts on the description. I think it's already there, but I'm going to double check to see. You can practice using this, but I want to encourage you to use your own prompts, right? Okay, now it's okay. I have two screens here, but I think I need 3 or 4. I encourage you to use your own prompts to support and for you to learn, right? It's even better. Okay. So as I said, let's go for the revision now. It's okay. And we saw the types of AI. So you have the symbolic one. Oh, you have the symbolic one, and then you have I don't know why my mouse is not showing here. Okay, it is now. So you have the symbolic one, and then you have oh my god, it's not working. Oh, it is. Okay. So you have the symbolic AI, you have the machine learning, and then you have the generative AI. So when we saw the imagining and the timeline, we went through this 3 again. So we saw some scientific advancements, and I encourage you to watch The Imitation Game. It's a very good movie. It's going to be fun for you to watch, but you can learn something also about AI. And then we saw some books and movies. There were more books and movies about it, but those are the ones that I prefer putting here. We saw a little bit of the backlashing that technology in general receives, but we also saw sound judgments and how I'm putting it here again. I'm just repetition. I'm sorry about that. But it's still, we saw some judgment and some sound judgment about technology. And of course, I talked about a few cares that we need to take. So because AI is a tool, we said that. And I talked a bit about the do's and don'ts for Christians. And we looked at a few tips. And of course, we did the simulation. And hopefully, this was very interesting to you. And now let's go for the CQ&A. I like calling CQ&A because I want to listen to your comments as well. So let me go for the chat here. And okay, so let me open the chat again. I said I only have two windows here. I think that I should have more. So let's go for one question that I have here. Okay, so let's see this question over here. Okay, so I'm going to answer only three questions, and but please send me, put it on the comments. I answer every comment, and you can go to my other social media as well. And I'm gonna put this video like a short version on Instagram, and on the shorts on YouTube eventually, right? So let me go for this question over here. So can AI replace pastors or spiritual leaders? I'm sorry for laughing, but this is quite interesting. No, no, it cannot replace, right? No human creation can replace a human, right? I mean, perhaps in the future. I mean, I'm not saying perhaps in the future for the replacement, but perhaps in the future. Like there's the Spielberg movie, right, called AI, right, for the kid, and he gets emotions. Remember that one? But even if AI gets emotions, right, which is very, very complex, I don't think it's going to be a perfect emotion because not even any kind of science like psychology or whatever have discovered or went through the depths of human emotions. So it's not going to happen. Don't worry about that. So, because just for the close of this question, because AI is not, and this is the most important part. I'm sorry to keep it out. This is the most important part because AI is not going to have the spirit of God, right? The spirit of God can only inhabit the humans, right? Can only inhabit the child of God. And AI may have a lot of knowledge, but it's like Solomon says, knowledge you can burst, right? You can explode with knowledge. That's what teens use a lot not to study, right? But still, AI is never going to have the spirit of God and good pastors, right? I mean, every Christian pastor should or have, better saying, the spirit of God inside of them, helping them with advise people with preaching the word of God. And I would say only pastors, but any kind of child of God, any kind of Christian. So let me go for the second question here. So we did one. Let's go for the second here. Is it possible for AI to have a soul or spirit or experience? Well, I put it already. Um, I don't think so because it is very, very hard. And I don't think that even in the future to mathematically formulate the emotions like the soul, and definitely not to mathematically um, formulate the spirit, right? We have, two inner spiritual part of us, right? The soul and the spirit. The soul is more like our emotions. The spirit, if you don't have Jesus in your heart, hope you can accept it now. It's dormant, right? It's asleep, sort of thing. And then when you have the spirit of God, it kind of raises up, and that's what calls out that you're a child of God. So there is two different aspects, right? The soul and the spirit, and I don't think that not even humans understand the full depth of it, right? Or the width, or like Paul says in Romans 8, right? So I don't think that AI is going to get there. There is no data enough to put that out there. So it's like John said about Jesus, right? There is no place on earth that would fit the books about what Jesus did. So imagine that big data, right? Okay, so let's go for the third one. What are the ethical concerns about privacy, bias, and human dignity in AI? Okay, so this is probably a topic for a new training, but um, there are already some sort of rules when using, when building an AI about ethics, about not using personal information, bring that to others. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people kind of um, doing that, like using a prompt to kind of oversee that. The AI oversees that and go to personal information. But still, I think that it is improving. Some countries have even laws that support that. And if you ask an I tried this already, to erase all your personal data, it has to do. I mean, that's sort of the ethical obligation. The other aspect as well is that so many times, who is the responsible for what the AI brings to us is whoever is programming the algorithm, right? So that was the situation that I saw on the news about a an AI that was supporting a kid, um, and where's my pen here? I don't know why this happens so many times. Okay, I think I'm back. Yeah. Okay. And he actually got an advice. He was talking to this AI. It was an application actually. He was talking to this AI, and the AI gave an advice, a hazardous advice. He actually lost his life. So anyway, he took the advice from the AI. The kid lost his life, and this was like the first big case that was out there. You probably heard about it. And who is responsible for that? That was the main issue, right? And I don't remember which country that happened, but anyway, the creators are the responsible. So if you're thinking about going to the area of creating your own AI, be careful with that, because you're going to be responsible for what you're creating, right? Oh, but it develops by themselves. It's generative. It's getting big data, et cetera, et cetera. But you are programming somehow for it to do it, right? Just go back to the Terminator and the Matrix. Who was the responsible, right? And both movies said that we are the responsible, right? The humans are the responsible. So so this is what I want to tell you. And there is content for another training, as I mentioned. This was longer than I expected, so 90 minutes, but still, I think this is very important. Some conversations that we have here. Again, if you have a question you want to put on the comments, or even a commentary, or how I can improve this, please put it on comments. I answer every one of them. And feel free to contact me. You have all the also in the description. You have my other media, my other social media, my social media actually. I use a lot of Instagram and LinkedIn, TikTok not very much, and I know that some countries you cannot use TikTok, but still I use a lot of Instagram and LinkedIn. So you can get me there on LinkedIn as well. And please visit my store. You're gonna see very few content in English for now, but still, please visit it eventually. On Instagram, I put more information about it, and it's easier to update on Instagram than on YouTube. But visit there, and you can check the updates. I already have there the slides over here, the slides that I'm using here. I have it over there, and the preview of my book. You're gonna see that it's very cheap. It's not expensive at all. But if you're doing that, not only you can get good material, but you can support this ministry. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your participation. And let me pray for you for this, for us to close here. Father, thank you so much for whoever is participating here. Hopefully, somehow, the Word of God mainly impact their lives, but also the learning that we got here, how we can use AI as a tool to improve our spiritual life, God. Help us to discern what's good and what's not. Help us to be wise on how to use AI, but still use it, Lord, for the sake of your kingdom. Thank you so much. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. See you next time.